In 2005, toward the end of the year in November and December, I was in primary 7, and by then I was preparing myself for a national exam known as Uganda National Examination Board UNEB. I was bewitched, but I didn't know this immediately it happened. It took some great amount of time to know it. After I had gone through a lot, it all started as a simple headache but then grew bigger and worse. With time, whenever I left school for home after classes, I could get attacked by very bad headache. It was really stressing me out every day. With time the headache also started attacking me in class hours, and disrupting me during tests and exercises which were given in class. It was very terrible, strange feeling I was experiencing. I felt fear come over me. I was afraid this headache was going to tear down my good performance in class and even in the UNEB exam, which I was really working and praying hard for to see it well done in the end. I thought of what was happening to me, and from where was the headache originating, or the cause. Whenever the headache attacked me it persisted for a very long time. I labored to use cold water on my head, as first aid so that I could cool down the excessive pain I was feeling. This did not work. I even tried to have enough rest by sleeping enough, because I thought maybe I was not resting enough, but this was not helping as well. The excess pain continued to be there, and even worsening every day. Every time that passed, beside pain, I realized my brain senses were slowing down rapidly, that even the simplest question I could not answer in class. It was so horrible feeling I was in. I was getting punished in class for failing to answer even the simplest question. The teachers didn't know what I was going through those cruel moments. They thought I was becoming unserious in class. They always knew me as a serious boy in the class and performance and everything else. In fact, they all had their eyes on me, always expecting the best from me. I was really performing so well in class, but it was like I was becoming a disappointment to the teachers, who really had their faith in me. My performance was really losing meaning, and I even didn't think I would do the UNEB exam in such a hopeless condition. My condition was so bad, so horrible indeed. I can't explain it better in writing, but I try to. I felt my brain was being pressed and squeezed from all angles. I felt extreme pressure was being exerted on my brain and really felt so tight and extremely hard, and blood was not flowing inside my brain. Oxygen was reducing from my brain. I couldn't really breathe properly anymore, and my inner eyes were so dim all the time. I was finding it very hard to think or remember anything, and my whole body lost control, as if it was made paralyzed. My arms were unsteady and extremely weak, and I was not able to use it to make good handwriting anymore. My hearing was being blocked every morning for about 5 minutes, and my eyes were blinded from seeing in the simple dark of evening hours. Somebody could just hold my hand, so that I could work in the right path in the simple dark. My neck couldn't turn left or right. I just had to turn the whole body to see what was in the left and right. I was just like robot or statue on the busy road. I couldn't cross by myself, because my body froze a lot and my movement very slow and unsteady. Absolutely nothing was really working well in me. I was so oppressed by these horrible occurrences. I was extremely upset with all these terrible situations. I had become completely weak in everything and felt useless, and yet, I had UNEB exam at hand. I had to be strong to be able to do it successfully, but I wasn't. It was my last and most important exam in primary school level, for which I was longing to do it well. In my country, it is always done once in every year in November or December. This exam was to open for me way to secondary school level education. Before this horrible occurrence, I was so excited, because I was going to experience secondary school learning, and that I needed to do my very best to make it there. Really, I was promising myself to read very hard, especially subject areas I felt I was weak in, so I could make it to secondary learning with flying color and also get scholarship to best schools in the country. But it was like I was not going to make it because of these horrible occurrences that caught me up amidst fulfilling my dream. I felt so bad and so sad and hopeless indeed, that I began to cry so much tears day and night, and I was begging and asking God to have mercy on me, to release me from all the terrible tortures I was experiencing, which were causing so much distress to me, and shattering my dream and future. It was like life had begun to end before my eyes, and I was indeed powerless to do anything to change it back. I felt like God had punished me and forsaken me. I questioned God in my cry, why He had let these terrible torture happen to me, especially at the time I needed His help the most. I always believed in God and Jesus and loved Him so much. I had read His words, and tried my best to obey His words, and always prayed to Him ever since I got to know Him and He answered me. I depended so much in the Lord for everything in prayer and fasting, but this time, I felt so distanced from Him, like there was no more connection with Him. I thought to myself, maybe I have sinned a lot, and knew I am punished for my many sins. I didn't understand why at that moment. This completely broke my heart and my pain was greatly increased. In December 2005 I did the exam, but without hope that I will ever make it through to the next level. I did it without my brain senses working normally, and during that time I couldn't use my hand as well. My hands felt so paralyzed that it was such great trouble to use it to write. It felt so displaced and disconnected from the control of the brain, which was so down as well. I did what I could without thinking, having no functioning memory, nor strength in my hands to make writing on the exam papers. After the exams were completed, I moved back home immediately, and at home, I knew I was still very sick, sad and hope lost, so depressed, completely engulfed in deep sorrow and severe pain. I went on pleading with God day and night without resting. I thought God was mad at me because of my sins. I told God I never meant every sins I committed. I was asking God to forgive my sins, and after He forgave my sin I wanted Him to take my life away from earth. I was already so upset and tired of life on earth. I thought if I stayed on earth any longer I would sin more and more, and that God would never forgive me. I thought to commit suicide by strangling myself to death, but I realized that was murder before God. But instead, I was praying to God to take my life away Himself. I saw that there was nothing good for me to live for on earth anymore. I scanned all what was in the earth with my spiritual mind, and realized nothing looked good for me at all, and I needed to leave as soon as God heard my cry for mercy. I was praying to God to take me away as soon as possible, but first I need to be sure He forgave my sins. I never wanted to go to hell and suffer more pain after pain. I had no decision of turning back. It was like everything had turned its back at me. I may not be able to explain the condition I was in writing, but I can say it was very horrible indeed.